Shalom, Yashrala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakudash. Double honors, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and ever will. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here article real quick. In fact, let me pull up a couple other articles real fast too. But nevertheless, inside the news, we have a couple things going on as far as with the NATO situation, right? Well, NATO and Russia, this World War III, all right? Because we've been doing these videos and prophesying and everything like that is according to Habakkuk chapter 2. At the end, these prophecies would be speaking. So what's been speaking really loud and clear lately is what? The mark of the beast, Jacob's trouble, all right, and these types of things, the famine of the word, all right, that's really going out heavy right now. But nevertheless, we still have, World War III that's going on. We also have the chariots. There's been a lot of sightings on the chariots and things like that as well, too. All right, but nevertheless, switching gears a little bit back onto this here war situation, the wars and the rumors of wars. All right, this here article says NATO orders warships to the Black Sea as bloc chief calls for Ukraine to be allowed to join and stop Russian plan to dominate ex-USSR. And now, just briefly go over to this here situation. The debacle with this here situation is you keep hearing about this so-called Russian aggression. The whole purpose of NATO, all right, was to basically combat with the the USSR, which the USSR is no longer, it's no longer around no more or less to say. It pretty much broke in part. You had these, instead of it all being one big block, now it's like a lot of smaller countries. But what has America been doing? Running up on into those same countries and everything like that, and getting these people to basically join NATO or whatever, whatnot. So for what? So that they can put pretty much their missile defense systems right there. Because their whole plan is, look, the closer we can get these, because it's hard enough for them to try to hit incoming missiles if they got their missile defense system here in America, all right, and waiting for the missiles to come all the way over here. And then try to shoot them up into the air and try to knock them out the sky. So their plan is to have the missile defense system right there on the border of Russia. So as soon as they take off from Russia, all right, they have a better chance of hitting them before they can even cross the damn ocean or whatever, whatnot. So this is their plan as far as trying to get these different nations around Russia on the Russian border to basically join NATO, all right, which is causing a whole, they call it Russian aggression, but really, America's the one that's being the aggressor here, all right. Here's another one that says Russian Air Force experts publish plan to neutralize NATO forces in all-out war with bombing strikes against key military targets. All right, and this goes into what, the air superiority. I think let me find this one right here. Let me read these two paragraphs real quick. It says right in a new edition of the Air and Space Force Journal, two associate professors at Russia's Pilot Training Academy set out how any invasion launched against the country by NATO allies would depend on a massive aerial bombardment with warplanes and missiles. All right. And, like I've been explaining beforehand, back in the olden days, whoever had, naval superiority was going to pretty much dominate any warfare, because they could just roll up on you and keep supplying, they bring in the fight to you, they can roll up on you with their ships and everything like that, so on and so forth. But as time progressed, all right, and then it became, if you had air superiority. So, when you go back in like World War II, whoever had, these planes that can come in and start bombing your ass, that's whoever would pretty much win. All right, if you have air superiorities. Like if you fast forward in today's time, look at Syria, right? Syria was getting bombed to hell and back. Same thing. They was trying to do the coup d'etat in Venezuela. All right, but in both nations, one of them got the S-300 and the other one got the S-400. All right, and pretty much when they put those things out there, it pretty much stopped America from flying over. This is why you don't hear about ISIS no more over in Syria and things like that, man. Apparently they all just disappeared. But what really happened was Russia put up, I believe it over there was the S-400 that they put in Syria, which can see these F-35 fighter jets. All right, and then also can shoot out the sky their cruise missiles that would be incoming. So it would just basically be a waste of America's time, money, and equipment trying to launch a strike over in Syria anymore. All right, so now the next phase is, yeah, you may have air superiority, but look, the thing that gives you the hand up in that is a great missile defense system. And right now, Russia's the one with the top of the line air defense systems. All right, so it says any invasion launched into the country by NATO allies would depend on a massive aerial bombardment with warplanes and missiles. These two Russian guys say, however, that approach isn't foolproof. In order to disrupt the bombardment and frustrate ground-based operations, analysis say Russia should launch a colossal counter or preemptive strike to wipe out enemy hardware. This could be achieved, they argue, with combined use of drones, missiles, cyber warfare, and new weaponry, destroying Western equipment before it can even get airborne. Now, this last line, it says new weaponry destroying Western equipment before it can even be airborne. So, like, I believe maybe 2 years ago, they started putting in full production the S-400. But in reality, they already got the S-500, which is called the S-500 Prometheus system. All right, now, the one that they are working on, I think they got an S-500, an S-700, and the S-900. Now, the S-900, all right, now, and really the differences in these things now is basically, the 300 and the 400, the amount, one radar, you might have one radar that can control multiple different, what they call the batteries, the launchers or whatever, whatnot, You may have, a little radar system here, there, whatever, whatnot, but you can control as many launchers as you want, pretty much, That's the upgrade between the 3 and the 400, and then also a little bit of the range. Same with the 400 and the 500, you get more range in the 500. Now, the 900, the S900, right? They're telling us that basically that can pretty much knock out America's intercontinental ballistic missiles from the silos themselves. So if their radars and everything like that is able to detect that they're about to to launch, all right, and basically as they're trying to launch these missiles from the ground-based silos here in America, all right, they could send an S900 over here basically and shoot it before it could even take off into the sky or whatever, whatnot, So it says, and new weaponry destroying Western equipment before it can even get airborne, That's just if you don't quite know about that technology. That's what they call the S900, but that's not really in full production. They don't even really got the S500 in full production, all right? Let me go back and get this last article I want to read into. All right, it says, Western World War III game plans revealed. Analysts say Poland could win Russian-NATO war by invading Kaliningrad and securing Moscow's nukes. It says an all-out war between Russia and the West could be decided by a bloody fighting in the picturesque Baltic Sea exclave of Kaliningrad. American analysts say in a study that gives rare insight into how a new world war might play out. So what is the synopsis of all these here articles, man? All right, they keep talking about more and more on World War III, so on and so forth, which we know, like the scriptures say, you're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars, all right? But ultimately, this is where things are headed to, all right? But, this is also, prophecy speaking because, it's just not just one that's going to be taking place. A lot of these end-time major prophecies are going to start happening simultaneously and everything like that, man. Just like when a chariot is going to come and start putting in that work, it's going to be in the midst of what? World War III, all right? The deliverance is going to take place right when these thermonuclear missiles are coming down, man. All right, so, hey, we're pretty much at the end all, be all, and we're having all these prophecies are starting to speak loud and clear, man. All right. It says the military journal Overt Defense published an article in late January describing how Russia's westernmost province, home to 500,000 people, would become a site of a fierce standoff if the country comes to blows with Western nations. It notes that Moscow stations tens of thousands of troops in the region, as well as battalions of basically Islander short-range ballistic missile launchers capable of delivering nuclear payloads against cities in Germany, Poland, Czech Republic. All right, and so when you go into like Germany and Poland and shit like that, which these are American allies, but at the same time, for instance, Germany, right? Germany's in a position like Turkey is, right? They kind of fed up with America or whatever, whatnot. And they actually getting goodies from Russia right about now. So if things was to take place now, Germany is a pivotal point for, the war in the Middle East, all right, or any war in the Middle East, because, as you've seen from 2001 up until now, as far as when they was going into Iraq, bombing Iraq, they was going into Afghanistan. Where else was they at? I think, was it Pakistan they was bombing or some shit like that way back in the day? But nevertheless, hell, even when they was launching from or launching into Syria, all right, all these planes, all right, see, America wasn't flying jets from the mainland here in America, flying all the way over there to drop a couple bombs and coming all the way back. No, they got these troops over there in Germany, all right, and what they do is they just take off from Germany and they go over there to the Middle East and be back. They can be back in they can be over there at least in like 10 to 15 minutes, taking off from Germany versus flying from all the way over here. You got a certain amount of fuel that you can carry on a plane, And the fuel, you can't necessarily take a full tank of gas on a plane that's fully loaded with weaponry. All right. And you want to be able to have the most amount of payload that you'll be able to take. So what they do is they have a shorter flight where they only need, like, let's just say hypothetically a half a tank or a quarter tank of gas, which means that they can load the plane up with even more bombs, so they can make a longer bombing run, more or less to say. All right. But continuing on, it says in 2018, Russia was hosting a football World Cup. A U.S. watchdog issued a warning over the country's nuclear capabilities in Kaliningrad, one of the tournament's host cities. The Federation of American Scientists published satellite photos they described as showing expanded capacity at a reinforced bunker they alleged to be a storage site for warheads. It's a site we have been monitoring for quite some time, and there has been some upgrades in the past, but nothing as dramatic as this one. It says this is the first time we've seen some of the nuclear bunkers being excavated and apparently renovated, a spokesman said. According to the doomsday scenario plan for a full-scale war, the analyst says, NATO member Poland, all right, would have to storm into the breach and do it quickly enough to prevent a nuclear exchange. So now you see the importance of having all these countries become NATO members that's right there on the border of Russia, man. Because they know once they get these missiles up in the air or whatever, whatnot, that's what they call mutually assured destruction. All right. But nevertheless, and then once they launch one off, they're like, oh, shit, we got an incoming missile. We got to sit here and turn all our shit on and launch all our shit all at once, because ain't no telling what type of state we'll be in once at least just one of these bad boys come in, man. So the whole point is to have as much as their arsenal, and the majority, like we got the majority, America has the majority of their nuclear stockpile actually overseas and everything like that, man. All right. Because that's, it's a lot closer, quicker, and, easier for them to hit basically Russia from right over there, instead of trying to launch from all the way over here, Russia has a more difficult time having to sit there and launch from Russia all the way over to America, which they wouldn't go from, east to west. They would actually just go straight north over Russia, over the North Pole, and hit America, because that's the closest route. You can go over to Alaska. Russia's not that far from Alaska, man. All right. So it says, they say that the 45,000 active soldiers in Warsaw Army would have to overcome the 50,000 strong Kaliningrad garrison and seize control of the facilities before Russian defenders could press the big red button. Again, like I was just trying to break down to you, the fact of the matter is, the closer we are, you know what I'm saying, the closer we can get missiles up in the sky, if anything, we can try to shoot them out the sky, as they're trying to cross the Russian borders, leaving out. Or if not, we can chase them down before they make it all the way over to America. That's America's strategic plan. While there will be numerous obstacles in this plan in practice, the article spells out one as the most significant. Russia S-400 defense system has been hailed as among the most advanced in the world. It is, and reportedly such a threat to NATO warplanes that Washington sought to impose sanctions. And I keep going into this. America has the what they would say the hand up, so to say, because we're really, China and Russia got the same damn planes, and their planes work better. But the fact of the matter is, having a stealth bomber or whatnot, a stealth plane, all right, they can fly in undetected, and before you even would see them on the radar, they done already dropped the nuke on your ass, man. All right, but what makes that plane obsolete is the fact that these S-400 systems, all right, their radars can actually see these damn what do you call F-35 planes, man. They can actually see them coming in from a distance. So really, it's pretty much like taking a regular damn plane and flying into regular ass radar and everything like that, because, it's not really going to do them no good if these S-400s can see them. All right. And shoot them up out the sky. I forgot what it was. And I think it was Syria where they had to locked on to some of them Iranian F-35s or whatever, whatnot. They actually got a lock on them bad boys or whatever, whatnot. And they was shitting bricks over there, man. All right. It says, Washington has sought to impose sanctions even on members of its military bloc like Turkey, who have sought to purchase it from Moscow without. So going back to, like I was saying, with the Germany and Poland and all these other, like Poland don't really want to be in the middle of these situations, because they're like, damn, y'all only going to use us and supply us with weapons and everything like that. But at what cost? We're going to be in the middle of a war between y'all and Russia and everything like that. Y'all not going to have the casualties over, this is what they're thinking. Y'all not going to have the casualties over there. The war going to take place right here in our country, and all of our civilians in them are going to be impacted by these things, man. So now they're starting to count the cost of all these things. What are we really benefiting from these things? Oh, You protecting us from threats from Russia? Russia's not really no threat to us. They right here on our board. Like, they not really a threat to us, man. And if anything, we could benefit from going back with them. Like, they try to sit here and make these lies about the Ukrainian or the Crimean Peninsula seizure and everything like that, which these are all Russian countries to begin with, all right? But nevertheless, it says, without air supremacy, it is hard to see how Poland could prevail in a ground-based blitzkrieg. However, residents of Kaliningrad might not be sleeping soundly for long. According to the overt defense analyst, the Polish Air Force is working on the solution against the high-tech launchers. While no detail is given on the Shadowy project, the author concedes that it will take a while to introduce it, and they ain't got that much time. The playbook describes the likelihood of Poland being able to mobilize its forces quickly enough for a preemptive strike as optimistic but possible. The authors contend that the speed and surprise will be essential, as the Polish armed forces position is not an easy one to begin with. All right. It says, with the scenario is hardly likely to make Russian generals wake up in a cold sweat, there is perhaps a precedent in history. At the height of its power, the colossal Polish Lithuanian Commonwealth, which spans from Latvia to modern-day Ukraine. Okay, like I said, this is right here this is the border damn near of Russia, man. All right, that's like, this is why this is why Cuba's all fucked up, because see, they was an ally of Russia or whatever, whatnot, and that's when you had the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like, yo, dog, Russia got their missile station 90 miles off the coastline of Florida. Like, yo, like, once they launched that bad boy, we don't have no time to respond, man. 90 miles, that shit'll hit in like 10 minutes. You see what I'm saying? But this is what America's doing to Russia right now, and blaming them as the threat. All right. It says, Latvia, the modern-day Ukraine, was one of the few nations ever to successfully conquer Moscow in a land invasion. In 1610, its forces entered in the Russian capital and set up shop in the Kremlin, which they held for a year after being starved out by their enemies. But nevertheless, reading these here articles is going into basically what? This is them also beating the war drums, So jumping straight into it, this is Matthew 24, verse 3. It says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came up to him privately, saying, tell us what shall be these things, and what shall be the sign of thy coming in the end of the world. So let's look at some of these signs. Verse 6, and you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And these are the times and the years that we're living in, especially starting with 2020, man. Now this war front situation has been going on for quite a while, man. All right, really since Vladimir Putin got in office, around, I believe, the time George Bush was getting into office, really shit, since George Bush was in office, 2001, because that's when America was trying to inch closer and closer and closer by stealing all the damn Middle East and everything. All right, then around that same time was when Vladimir Putin actually came into office for the first time. And then that's when the Russian economy started coming back up, because they was basically like a third world country after the end of the Cold War, because America had pretty much, they pretty much like how they do with these other countries. Like if you know about what happened to Iran when they put in their puppet or whatever, whatnot, they destabilized the country, destabilized the infrastructure, pretty much put them into a third world country state. But now what you're seeing happening again is Russia, I don't know if we have the time for it. Let's get it. This is, what's been going on. Ezekiel 38, verse 2. Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, and the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And say, thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. All right, here's the point that I was trying to get at. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. All right, so talking about turning them back and putting hooks into their jaws, right? Like I said, you got to understand what was going on with Russia after the end of the Cold War. All right, America pretty much won all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because, you got a hot war and a cold war. Hot war is when you got gunfire and missiles and bombs and shit going off. Cold war, you have like an informational war, a cyber war, or you have like info war, where you go in and destabilize the country by lying to the people about certain things or whatever, whatnot, get the people all divided up, then the people start clashing with one another, and then they overthrow their government because the lies is being told to them, like what we trying to wage with Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, man. all right, spreading all this propaganda or whatever, whatnot, when they try to put in Juan Guaido. Oh, Nicolas Maduro is a dictator. He's starving out his people. He stole the election. And this is what they were out there putting on the news and the media, so people would think that he's the bad guy and that this other guy is actually the newly elected president. But yet and still, it's like, nah, man, this is all propaganda. At least those people were smart enough not to take the bait, all right? But going back into Russia, like I said, they at the end of the Cold War, America left them where they was broke. Their infrastructure was broken down. Their military was broken down. Their economy was broken down. You know what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. But now what you have going on now is Vladimir Putin got in office, all right, and brought them back to being basically a superpower, man. All right, a world trading nation, man. Now they're exporting oil, going into the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines, where they're trying to start supplying oil to other nations like Europe and everything like that, you know, being an international supplier of oil and natural energy and things like that. All right. You see them trading and using their money and everything like that with these other countries and so on and so forth. Hence what they call the BRICS nations. I think that's Brazil, Russia, I believe India, China, and South Africa or something like that, you know. But nevertheless, they're trying to create a currency, all right, to get rid of what do you call the petrodollar and everything like that, so that, you know, you're not forced to have to use that American dollar to buy and sell in oil, all right. So they're bringing back up their economy and everything like that, or the use of their dollar, all right. Their economy is actually getting stronger and everything like that for regular everyday people out there, all right. You know, you also have their weaponry, all right, which we're about to go into, all right. Now, again, going back to before Vladimir Putin was in office, you know, of course, at the end of World War II, America and Russia split Hitler's stockpile of weapons and everything like that. Those are the two countries that had the shit. But literally, you know what I'm saying? They had like the S-125, which was like a really old ass system, like a really old system, all the way up until not too long ago when they had the S-300, you know, and then they started upgrading that bad boy. All right, now you have they have the S-400 and so on and so forth, you know. They didn't have all this technology and all these missiles and everything like this. Now, all this started really coming under the reign of Barack Obama. Just to give you a time frame of when Russia started actually moving forward with their advancement of their military and all the equipment and stuff like that. That happened basically up under Barack Obama. They first started with their economy under Bush and everything like that, started getting back up onto the totem pole and everything like that. Under Obama, they started getting their weaponry back up and then started slowly getting into this here oil situation. All right, and now that's what you see them pushing heavily right about now. Now they're exporting these highly advanced weapons to all these other countries, these weaker countries, like the scripture say, let the weak say I'm strong. All right, so these are the things that's all been taking place as far as Russia being putting those hooks back into their jaws. And again, going back to the end of the Cold War, that was when you had the USSR fell. All right, and then it got divided up into multiple nations. You had basically what they would call Russia. All right, and it was a lot smaller. You know, you can go look at a map of the USSR, then look at a map of Russia, then you look at basically the map of what they call like the Russian Federation, I think is what it's called nowadays, where you have like Russia and where they wind up taking a piece of Crimea and also I believe Ukraine and some of these other countries, not really other countries, Georgia and so on and so forth. I believe that was under either Bush or Barack Obama when they went in and took Georgia, you know, the country Georgia and everything else, which these are just, they the same people. They're the same people and everything. Like, they would be the equivalent to like China so-called invading North Korea and South Korea or whatever, whatnot. Like, well, technically these are all the same people. America went over there in the Korean War and put that divide between North and South Korea. These are all the same people, which they all really Chinese people, but they created that as a buffer zone, all right, between just to get closer to China to launch an attack, man. That's all about. But nevertheless, you see now Russia trying to get back together with these other nations to bring them back to that full strength of what the USSR. So now as you see these major players coming together as a conglomeration, you got NATO. Basically, NATO, the EU is one big block, you know, and they all up against Russia. That's the whole point of NATO. The whole purpose of NATO is to defend Europe from Russian aggression, you know, the whole USSR pact, you know, but the USSR fell, all right, but now they keep getting closer. So Russia's trying to get back into that USSR state as far as the size and as far as the military might that they had, and also as far as their economy, man. And this is what you're starting to see happen, man. Ezekiel 38:4 says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Now, they really put the emphasis on all this here armor and helmets and shields and everything like that. And as you see, You know, Russia has like that nuclear powered cruise missile with an indefinite fuel range. It can fly forever for the next 50 years in the sky, 100 years in the sky, unlimited. All right, they have the Satan 1, the Satan 2, you know, the Cermat thermonuclear missile. Basically, it can destroy this state the size of Texas with just one of them. All right, but nevertheless, you see all these things coming to pass or whatever, whatnot, but they're not really the avant-garde hypersonic missile and everything like that. Russia not exporting that type of technology, man. What they are exporting though is what these missile defense systems. All right, the bucklers, these shields, the armor, these helmets. All right, because these are the modern day things, you know, the modern day armor, you know. But going back, verse 5, Persia, which is Iran, which, you know, that's one of their allies as well. Ethiopia, Libya, with them, all of them with shields and helmets. Gomer and all his bands in the house of Tomargah of the north quarters, and his bands and many people with them, with thee. Verse 7, be thou prepared and prepare thyself. And this is what you see Russia been doing, like I said, since Vladimir Putin got in office. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, and thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. And this is what you see happening with Russia becoming a guard unto these so-called weaker nations. You know, it says, I think it's in Joel 3 and 9. Yeah. Joel 3, 9 and 10, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares and the swords and your pruning hooks and the spears, let the weak say I am strong. All right, so this is, you know, what's going on right now, these weaker countries right now, like, for instance, Venezuela versus America, right? Obviously, America would destroy Venezuela 1 billion times over, but America really can't do much with that S-400 over there, or the S-300 over there. So now the weak is saying that they're strong. They ain't got really no arsenal to really blow America up or nothing like that, but they can defend themselves against America coming over there. Obviously, you don't hear nothing else like that, like you did every day in the news for the last couple years of them trying to create a coup d'etat and overthrow the damn government and set up their puppet over there, all right? To take that oil that's over there in Venezuela, man. All right? Let's go over here to Jeremiah 50, and I'm going to jump around in this real quick. Jeremiah 50 and 2. It says, declare ye among the nations and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say Babylon is taken and Bel is confounded. Merodach is broken in pieces and her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. All right, so this is when America is getting destroyed. All right, verse 3. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her. Now, you know, we have to think about this in North Country or whatever, whatnot. Like I said, the way Russia is going to launch their missiles is not from east to west, all right, to hit America. That's going to take them too long to get there or whatever, whatnot. You know, there's too much fuel. What they would do is they would shoot them straight north over Russia, all right, and then they would go straight over like the North Pole or whatever, whatnot, and come raining down on America from the north. All right, so if you take, you know, take a pin, put it in the middle of the United States or whatever, whatnot, and go directly north over across that, you're going to run into Russia. All right. So it says, for out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein, and they shall be removed. They shall depart both man and beast. Now, who are these nations that you keep reading about in the news and everything? What two big major blocks, and who are they being headed by? You got NATO, and you basically got, you know, the revival of the USSR. But who's the head of these conglomerations of nations, man? All right, you got Russia on one side and America on the other side, man. All right, who's the two people who got the most advanced arsenals of weapons on the planet Earth? You got Russia and you have America. Who's the only nations that's really exporting military hardware to these other nations? Now, I believe Germany actually export, I believe, some kind of guns or something like that. But for the most part, you only have Russia and America that really create and export weapons to any of these other countries and anything like that, man. All right, not very many countries on the planet Earth actually export weapons that they make. You know, China has some little bit of things, but China's really more or less in the technology sector of things like that, man. All right. Let me jump down. Verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly. Right? So going back into that USSR, that's just not Russia. It's Russia and a bunch of other nations. Just like how NATO isn't just America. All right. It's a bunch of different nations. You got the whole EU. All right. Then you have America. You have Canada, and you have like Turkey. All right. That's a part of NATO. That's not a part of the EU. You know, that's why when we talk about this here beast, all right, we say NATO and the EU, because there's, you know, a couple countries that's not in the EU that's in NATO, you know what I'm saying, and vice versa, you know. It says, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her, and from thence, all right, giving you the understanding, these are going to be what they call intercontinental ballistic missiles, right? This is where we get the ICBM acronym from. Intercontinental, meaning from one continent to another continent, all right? Intercontinental ballistic, basically just being propelled by like some kind of jet propulsion, all right, missile, you know? So it says, from thence she shall be taken, all right, from where? From that land of the north, that from Russia. They're gonna be shooting off their shit from Russia all the way over to America, whereas America got a lot of their stockpile close up on Russia already, man. So they ain't really got they got shit here in America, but they don't really have to launch shit from America. It'd be a lot quicker and more efficient to launch from like Germany, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, places like from over there. But nevertheless, Russia don't have no bases outside of, I think they got maybe 3 bases that's outside of Russia, man. Other than that, all their bases are inside of Russia, man. All right, America has more than, well, shit, I don't know exactly how many bases. I think they got like 700 or 800 bases, military bases that America has outside of America. Not to mention is somewhat, I think, 900 military bases that NATO has that's over there up against, you know, around the area where Russia's at, man. So, I mean, you got damn near almost 2,000 damn military bases that's all over there that's controlled basically by America, man. All right. It says, from thence she shall be taken. The arrow shall be as a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. All right. Going into what? These missiles are going to be what they call, quote unquote, smart missiles, you know, just like the Saramat 2 or the Satan 2 missile can, it's a guided missile for one. All right. You can get its location and it could drop down and also change its targets mid-air. All right. It could change its trajectory rate mid-air so that you can't quite get a lock on its path and shoot it out the sky. All right, these are going to be what you call so-called smart missiles, man. All right. Let me jump down. I could read that too, but this is a great chapter to read, especially when it goes to this nuclear war. But I just want to pull out a couple precepts dealing with right here. 41, Jeremiah 50 and 41. Behold, a people shall come from the north, a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. All right, because look, what other nation, you know, America is like the greatest nation on the earth. All right, especially in the sense of, you know, from the biblical perspective, you know, that Babylon had been the golden cup. All right, now in comparison to that, if that's the top of the top, the cream of the crop, what nation is there that's one down from that, man? All right, some people would say China or whatever. China ain't leading no shit like how Russia is, though. You know what I'm saying? China ain't really leading. You know, China is dealing economically. All right, they trying to put America out economically, but when it comes to military and all these things, I think China just built their first aircraft carrier. Period. Right? They don't really have too many. They only got but one aircraft carrier, man. All right, and nevertheless, you know, the one conglomeration of nations that you seeing coming up into the picture that was far destroyed, because see, China was in a way better position than Russia was not that many years ago. But then how did Russia just come up and be the only thing that's a threat to America right now? All right, who has weaponry or technology that's actually threatening the American arsenal? All right, it would be Russia. It says, behold, a people shall come from the north, a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. All right, they shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses. Everyone put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. All right. Let me read verse 43. The king of Babylon have heard the report of them, and his hands wax feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs of a woman in travail. Going back into these treaties they trying to sign to stop Russia from creating longer range missiles and everything like that, so on and so forth. When America don't even really partake in all those things, and they keep advancing their weaponry and everything like that. But look, they the ones that pulled out of the situation. You know, Donald Trump and all of that. And then Russia was like, all right, no problem. We can just start advancing our shit, and that's what wound up happening. And in that little window, America wasn't able to do anything, man. All right. Jeremiah 51 and Salaki, give me a second. Verse 11. Make bright the arrows, you know, these smart missiles again, all right? Make bright the arrows, gather the shields, those S-300, 400, 500, and so on and so forth. Yahweh has raised up the spirit of the king of the Medes. You know, like I said, after as soon as Vladimir Putin got into office, that's when Russia, it was basically like a rebirth of Russia, man. All right. Yahweh have raised up the spirit of the king of the Medes, for his device, all right, those thermonuclear missiles, is against Babylon. And who do you see Russia aiming their missiles at? Who do you think is their main target? Who do they keep talking about is threatening them, and who they're the only people they really kind of trying to, no other nation is really upset that Russia is creating these damn missile defense systems and intercontinental ballistic missiles. Ain't nobody really tripping over that, because they know that Russia ain't they ain't invading no damn body. They ain't really bombing nobody or threatening nobody. It's America that's the one that's seen it as a threat, because that's the only people that can kind of like match their forces. All right. It says, for his devices against Babylon, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon, make the watch strong, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambush, for Yahweh hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. All right. Let me jump down. Oh, verse 28. It says, prepare against her the nations with the kings. So, you know, like we read in Joel 3, all right, about these nations, the weak standing there strong, all right, and then Russia being a guard unto these other nations. It says, prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, and the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. All right, so look, this is what you see going on. All these little smaller nations or whatever, whatnot, they're basically being forced to choose a side. You either with NATO or you with Russia. All right. And this is forming up to what? World War III. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me just read this. Oh, no, there's one more verse down there. Verse 29. And the land shall tremble for sorrow, and every purpose of Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon desolation without habitation. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Their might faileth. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. And one post shall run to meet another, and one passage to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that the city is taken at one end. All right. I think it's verse 40. Maybe 48. Nah. Yeah. Let me start at verse 47. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her, you know, as the thermonuclear destruction come and turn this place to the lake of fire. Then the heaven and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for Babylon, for the spoiler shall come upon her from the north, saith Yahweh. All right, so going into all these things, you know, this is going into what? That you know, basically these this conglomeration of nations is going to be coming with Russia. Is going to come to basically put America down, man, by way of thermonuclear missiles, man. All right, we've seen the buildup of all these different things and all the, you know, these prophecies speaking as far as the wars and the rumors of wars. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us his truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, and pushing his truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth, and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.